Hello, friends. Let us now discuss the answer writing techniques for mains examination in the civil services examination, especially with respect to the subject optional paper, public administration. Through this series of videos, I would like to share a few tips regarding writing answers in public administration questions, as well as giving you certain model answers, how it can be made better so as to make you score better. See, basically any question, when a question is asked in the mains, any descriptive paper for that matter, every question has a keyword. The keyword has to be first of all identified, because the importance of the keyword is that the keyword will give you the idea about the question, what you are expected to answer, and what should be the content of the answer. That is more determined by the keyword. So let us try to understand the keywords and find out how the questions can be answered by taking examples of the 2021 mains question paper of public administration. Now let us take this question. This is a 10-marker question. Governance is about managing self-organizing networks. Elaborate. If you look at this question has two keywords. One is elaborate. For that matter, any question will have two keywords. One keyword, the first keyword will tell you what you should do. Here, if you see, this question wants you to elaborate. So you have to elaborate about the statement, the whole meaning of the statement that is given in the question. The second keyword will give you the operating area, what you are supposed to elaborate when it comes to this question. For example, we take this question. Governance is about managing self-organizing networks. What are you supposed to elaborate? Is about managing self-organizing networks. So you have to elaborate how governance and self-organizing networks are interrelated. So that's what you're going to elaborate. So the focus of the candidate to have a line of thought is these two keywords. Okay, now having understood that, what should be the content of them? First of all, let us at the first instance, when you begin the answer, try to give a few words about, say, self-organizing network. So what is a self-organizing network? So self-organizing network is a concept applied to the governance process that will focus on dynamic and adaptive process. See, if you see, we call it as complex adaptive systems. Because the self-organizing systems are those systems which will manage themselves without any external control. For example, there won't be any parliamentary control. There won't be any judicial control also. So it's like Adam Smith's, you must have come across Adam Smith's market system, where Adam Smith says the market will be balancing itself by means of its own forces called the supply and demand, which in turn will act like an invisible hand. The self-organizing network of organizations will also be so. They'll be more operating themselves, controlling themselves based on the market requirements, without any external push or control from the government or public administration or public policy makers or parliament or judiciary, for that matter, anybody. So these are called as self-organizing networks. Now, what do you mean by governance? The second aspect is you should harp on what governance is. See, governance stands for a plethora of government and civil society interactions, which includes networking of various organizations, both from within and without the government. So it will focus, the governance will be more focusing on capacity and capability of any organization to perform a particular function rather than the constitutionality or the legality of those organizations or those organizations to perform a given functions. So that's what we mean by governance as such. So now the question says governance is all about managing self-organizing networks. How to elaborate this? See, basically, in public administration, why did we go for governance? The concept of governance emerged. Why concept of governance emerged in public administration? Because the concept of public administration, the idea of public in the discipline of public administration and an activity, the concept of governance emerged as an metamorphosis of the concept of public administration. So it is the changing role of the state. See, we wanted, after the 1990s, we wanted the state to be more of a facilitator instead of active promoter and provider of goods and services. We wanted the state to be an active regulator and promoter of the services, and the state must ensure that the services are reaching the people with utmost quality standards and ensure value for money. So for this, the state need not focus on its own capacity, its own institutional arrangements, or create its own institutional arrangements. Instead, the state can focus on making use of the capacity of, the capabilities of private organizations, civil society organizations, private individuals, market, so on and so forth. And we consider all these players as the stakeholders in the concept of good governance. So the whole idea is to create capable networking, create a network of organizations, both within and without the government. And the concept here is about beyond public administration or beyond government. That is why the concept of governance involves managing the self-organizing network. Now, what do you mean by managing the self-organizing network? The role of the government here is to ensure that the self-organizing networks are properly operating within a policy framework. So it is a role of the governance here involves creating a policy framework for the self-organizing networks to operate. Second, the policies must focus on setting up of appropriate standards so that people will get what is due to them both equitably and in appropriate standards. Thirdly, the government must ensure the process of governance will require the state to ensure that there exists a grievance redressal mechanism and an accountability mechanism in order to address and redress the grievances and to set right the processes if something went wrong when it comes to this governance process or delivery of the goods and services. And fourthly, the governance involves setting up of certain mechanisms to understand the best practices, to conduct a performance audit so that the best practices can be identified and it can be replicated elsewhere. So that is why governance involves, or governance is all about managing the self-organizing networks at this point in time. I hope the answer is clear to you. And in future, we shall discuss answers to various other questions that are asked in 2021 and also in the previous years. Thank you very much.